The Cleveland Guardians are your favorite to win the American League Central? Yes, I said it. FanDuel said it. We're going to dissect it on this squad show.
Step up to the plate. It's the Locked On MLB Squad Show. From the Dodgers to the Astros, the Mets to the Rangers, and everyone else in the league, with the experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you the most comprehensive breakdown of all the action around the horn. We're coming in spikes up, no hurt feelings allowed, so squad up.
We are just a few days away from the MLB playoffs beginning, and we're glad that you're alongside us here on this latest edition of the MLB Squad Show. My name is Jeff Carr. I'm one half of Locked On Reds. I'm also the Locked On MLB channel manager and your host for the Squad Show today. We've also got Boney from Locked On A's. We've got, of course, Sully, the man, the myth, the Sully of Locked On MLB. And, of course, we have the happiest man in the room right now in Justin Lada, because the Cleveland Guardians, one half of Locked On Guardians, by the way, because the Cleveland Guardians have overtaken, or well, they're tied, but the tiebreaker, and it's tiebreaker season because we're talking about all the tiebreakers today. And the Guardians have the tiebreaker over the Tigers. And, of course, we have to start there because, Justin, how we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, I gotta say. I never expected to be here. Like, I feel good just the fact that we're going into the final weekend and the Guardians have something to play for. When we get to the end of the season and Sully does his summer score, the Guardians, they're not going to score very highly, but you want to know what? It has been the best month of baseball I can remember in the regular season since 2017. The Guardians almost wired a wire last year to win the division, very close to it. But this run has been very reminiscent of 2017 when they won 22 in a row. I mean, they're 17-3 in their last 20 games. The same team that lost 10 in a row earlier this season. I declared them dead at least twice. After the 10-game losing streak, I declared them dead when their closer, who I will not speak of, got not suspended. He's on the he's not disciplined. He's not disciplined, but he's getting paid. I haven't felt this good since then.
Justin, you brought up my summer score, which is where the metric that I invented to keep track of I have a point system metric for the number of times you wake up in the morning, your team's in a playoff spot after Memorial Day. I can't do it before Memorial Day, but after Memorial Day, after a third of the season. So I call it the summer score, because if you have a high number, that means you had a fun summer, right? It means most of the days you woke up there. Right now, the Cleveland Guardians summer score is 34. Compare that with the Astros, which is 285.
Wow.
One is in the playoffs, one is not. The Guardians were a playoff team on Memorial Day, pretty much through June. I mean, they had a couple of days here and there where they're out of it, and then after June 25th, they fell out, never to be seen again until September 21st. So from June 25th till September 21st, they were not a playoff team. That's all of July. That's all of August. That's most of September. And here they are in a position where they're in a playoff team. I want to do one thing right now. I want to be Superman. I'm going to spin the earth backwards a little bit. I'm going to go back to not a very long time ago, 15 days ago, on coming off the games on June 10th, 15 days ago, September 10th. Sorry, swing back to September 10th. All right, mid-September, and the Tigers absolutely dismantled the Yankees with an 11-1 blowout. I want to just point a couple of things out. The best team in the American League that day were the Detroit Tigers, okay? Just ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, this is how life is different since then. The Jays were 3 games up on the Red Sox and Yankees. The Astros were in first place by themselves, okay? And the Detroit Tigers had 15 days ago, had a 9.5 game lead.
It's so wild.
9.5. That's as many games as Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger had weeks together. 9.5. Thank you for my really up-to-date movie references.
And
here.
it was 15 days. It's
When's
not
the
as
last
if
time
this
you
was a
saw a
long
movie
period of
so
time.
with 15 days. Now consider there's there's 3 or 4 days. There's 3 days left. So let's just round it up. You're up 9.5 with approximately with less than 20 to play. You're
feeling good.
You're like, hey, let's ease up on the throttle and land the plane. After you've just humiliated the Yankees in back-to-back games. I mean, the Tigers were walking the walk. They were thinking like, hey, they were going to honor the late Chet Lemon and say, hey, it's 1984 all over again. But instead, it's 1984 as in Orwell for the Tiger fans, because this has become a bureaucratic nightmare that they have fallen apart. Even though they won today, and you got to give them credit for at least getting out of Dodge with something. Who thought when Ramirez hit that double in the 8th inning, I thought, here we go. But Tarek Skubal, who is probably going to win the Cy Young Award, although the fact that he came up so small and Crochet came up so big down the stretch has got to get something. Skubal had all of the toughness of Don Knotts on the mound the other day, and at one point he panicked and kind of tried to throw the ball like a long snapper through his legs. Did you see that play?
Yeah, that was
absolutely
trying for the Detroit
surreal.
Lions.
And
yeah.
we're at a position in 15 days. It went from the best record in the American League and a 9.5 game lead on Cleveland, who, by the way, that day, did they win that day? No, they lost. Cleveland lost to Kansas City that day, who were breathing down Cleveland's neck at that point. Kansas City was only a half game behind Cleveland at that point.
Oh my God.
They were
now
contenders.
Cleveland,
the Guardians are contenders.
But Cleveland now may get a bye.
Yeah.
I just want to get in, Sully. I just want to get in, okay? I just want a ticket to October. I don't care where they play. I don't care who they play. I just want a ticket.
Well, good for you. Well, you should use Game Time.
I
Last
do.
minute tickets to
I'm a
those
company
guys.
man.
Yes.
I'm a company man.
Company man. Yeah.
I think you got to adjust your summer score, Sully. I think you got to start giving negative points to people who are out of a playoff spot.
Not how it works.
It's
not how it works.
If the Guardians had negative points, they would have the most dramatic comeback in your system to be in from the negative. They still have a negative run differential, by the way. They still have a negative run differential.
There's certainly people who have like one summer score, or is it two? Maybe it's no, because they had off day on Monday.
The Rockies would be in the hole for the next 6 years.
Well, the lowest summer score is Arizona with 4. Lowest summer score is Kansas City with 3, Arizona with 4, and Texas with 5.
Okay.
By the way, Minnesota has a score of 20. Just so you know. Yeah.
Well, they had 13 in a row earlier this year.
Yeah, they had a good section there, and the Cardinals and the Giants
one
both
win for every player they traded.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, Brandon. I'm sorry. That was a pot shot there. He doesn't deserve that one. But no, it's crazy to see that comeback, and it's crazy to see do you put all right real quickly before we get out of this segment here? Who gets more blame or credit, Guardians or Tigers?
I think you have to blame the Tigers. I mean, yes, but the Guardians have been getting win after win because their pitching has been terrific. They've had games where they're winning like 4-2 or 2-1. I mean, when they were going on that huge winning streak, they weren't exactly lighting up the joint. But the Tigers were just playing awfully. I mean, it's a combination, of course. I mean, you can't have one without the other. I mean, the great collapse of the Red Sox in 2011 is also the Rays took over as well. I mean, you need to have that team take advantage of it, and Lord knows Cleveland took advantage of it. I mean, 15 days to do that sort of a reversal, that's unheard of.
Tigers losing 2 of 3 against the White Sox at home. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The Guardians took care of business, but the Tigers definitely let them back in. Didn't close the door on them either.
That's
We
how it
have to
goes.
see
Plus, I was
both.
opening the door to see if Sully still hated the Guardians. So, we know
Well,
that that's still the
It's all
case.
the Midwest. It's all the
Yes,
Midwest.
obviously you got to hate Cleveland because you hate those teams that win it every single year, and it's just,
Every single year. Well, I know this. Like, there's definitely a lot of spots that are kind of spoken for. And I know we mentioned that the Blue Jays and the Yankees, as far as the division goes, they're still neck and neck. And then you've got the last wild card spot in the National League that I feel like we've talked about a whole bunch because of the Mets. And that is an easy answer of, yeah, it's the Mets' fault. It's not credit to the Reds or the Diamondbacks for coming back in that race. But who is the most vulnerable as we head into October? Because I think there's a lot of different answers, a lot of different ways that we could go with that. So we're going to go that way next. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com and the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. Thank you for making Locked On MLB part of your everyday routine. There is a podcast for your favorite team, whether it is the Guardians, Justin and Jeff Ellis over at Locked On Guardians, the A's with Booney, whether it's the entire league, maybe you just love baseball as a whole, Sully's got you covered, and of course, Locked On MLB Game Night, watching every game every night, all the way through the World Series. And the Reds, too. Maybe you just really were a big fan of Noelvi Marte doing his best Glenn Braggs impersonation, albeit not in the World Series. But that was an amazing catch that Noelvi Marte. I just had to put that in there. I'm going to talk a lot about that on, the Locked On Reds show. So I'm not.
By the way, Jeff, Glenn Braggs was a guest on the old Sully Baseball podcast. So I called Glenn Braggs friend of the podcast. Sorry, Booney. He was part of the Reds team that beat the A's. But what are you going to do?
91.
It's because if you know ball, well, Sully knows ball, period, plain and simple. So, being that we know ball here on the Squad Show, there's definitely a couple of teams that are coming into this playoffs really hungry, maybe questioning some things. And I start with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm not saying that they are the most vulnerable, but I'm saying that if anybody is going to be pressing in October, whenever they finally get going, it's Milwaukee, because we've seen this story before. Milwaukee has dominated the regular season for what feels like a decade at this point. The National League Central has been theirs to lose for a long time, and they haven't lost it. They have absolutely dominated this division. And here we are again. They are now the number 1 seed in the National League. And it just feels like, to me, until they advance and until they show that the playoffs can be had for them, I kind of don't buy them.
I'll tell you where I'm going to push back a little bit. Several times they've won the division, it's been because the Central has not been that strong. Now, I'm not saying every time, and there have been a couple of years in 2021 they were an excellent and legit potential pennant contender. They were upset by Atlanta. But there have been years where they were, someone's got to come out of the Central, and they were a good team in a division without a powerhouse. And sorry, no offense, Jeff.
No, I've watched it closely. You're absolutely.
This team's a 96-win team. They're probably going to wind up with the best record in the history of the franchise. And I think when I watch this team, there's something about this, and I've made this comparison before, and I'll bring it again. Right. Yes, I know they haven't been as dominant down the stretch, but it's also like, you know what? They're going to wind up probably with 97, 98 wins. And they also, the thing that makes them dangerous, I made the comparison to the 2015 Kansas City Royals, is that they're not leaning on one star player. They've got a lot of solid hitters and fielders up and down the lineup. They have a good, they don't have to rely on Mizorowski. They know they have Peralta. They know they have Priest. They know they have good pitchers on there. They know they have a pretty good bullpen with a little bit of depth, and they play great defense. And I think that they don't make mistakes. They don't play dumb. It's what the Royals did in 2015, where again they didn't have a superstar. They just had very good players like Gordon, Moustakas, and Kane and Perez. They were all good players. Just none of them were the MVP superstars, but they had answers everywhere, and they had answers in the rotation. They had and of course they had a dominant bullpen, but they also went first to third. They also stole a bunch of bases. They put their defense on their heels, and they played good defense. And I look at this Milwaukee team, and I don't see a team that's going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I see the Dodgers as a team that's capable of making mistakes. I see the Phillies as a team. Gun to my head, and please don't put one there. If I'm going to pick a World Series champion, I'm sticking with my preseason pick, which is the Philadelphia Phillies. But you'll have to beat the Brewers. The Brewers won't beat themselves. And for that reason, I'm out. For that reason, I think that they look better than some of the teams that had got in the playoffs before. But then again, I thought the team in 2021 I thought they were going to do better than they did. So who knows? But I do like this team better than previous Milwaukee teams, and they're going to have the top seed. So it's not going to be someone need to come out of the Central. They've been really good. They've been dominant since pretty much the middle of June, mid to late June. They've been unstoppable, and I think that I would not want to face them.
All I took away from that is Sully was just finding a new way to hate on the Midwest. He's hating the Central once again, saying so good Midwest. That's all I took out of your entire rant. Sully, no, I also picked the Phillies to win the World Series preseason as well, and I think they're under a ton of pressure, to be honest with you, because I know that clinching a bye.
Zach Wheeler,
no Zach Wheeler. Kyle Schwarber's a free agent at the end of the year. They've got a lot of weird tension going on with Nick Castellanos. I know they've had their players playing better than him recently. Like Trey Turner's coming off an injury, if I'm not mistaken. Like I know Luzardo and Sanchez are great, and they traded for Duran, but this team, I don't want to say, I hate saying windows because I don't think windows ever exist because you think it's open and then all of a sudden it closes and then it opens when you think it's not. But this is a team with a weird age and a weird free agent situation where I think they're under a lot of pressure to get it done this October. So I think they're going to be under a lot of pressure. I think the Yankees are always under a lot of pressure in the playoffs too. I think because they just have it. Everyone expects them to win every year, and they never do. What's the last one? 09 or 08, I think was the last one.
09, yeah.
So I think they're under pressure. And, the Guardians, they're playing with house money. If they get in, nobody expected them to be there. So, same with Milwaukee. I think the Manager of the Year award is a silly award sometimes, and you don't often see two managers win it in back-to-back years. But, given where the Guardians and Brewers were this year and what they came into with, I think both those guys are winning Manager of the Year because the expectations changed in the offseason and during the season. So they should be playing a little bit freer and easier, like Sully said, especially the Brewers.
Manager of the Year should be renamed Manager of the Team You Didn't Expect to Contend.
Yes. Because how do you quantify that? You always just give it to the guy you think is the team that's going to suck coming into the year.
At the end of the day, it still comes down to the Dodgers. And when you got Yamamoto, Snell, and Glasnow leading three pitchers that could lead any rotation right now, I like the Phillies. Without Wheeler, it's tough. And, hey, their lineup's not too bad either. So at the end of the day, I still think the Dodgers are the team to beat.
But the one thing I'd say, Booney, and again, you'd bet against the Dodgers at your own peril. Dave Roberts has to look in the mirror and, he has to come up to Clayton Kershaw and to Sasaki and say, guess what? You guys are in the pen because Tanner Scott's terrible. Blake Trinan should be DFA'd. I mean, they have blown. Their bullpen has been not mediocre. Their bullpen has been grotesque. Their bullpen has been Calvin Schiraldi, Young Kim, Armando Benitez, you name it. Jose Mesa's looking at this group saying, man, these guys are chokers. I mean, sorry. I'm sorry.
I've erased that name from my memory. Come on.
Are you saying
You know-
Brad Lidge is going to come out and close games for them in the playoffs?
By the way, I'm convinced that Brad Lidge made a deal with the devil in 2008. To give me 1 year where I can't blow one, and then he did.
Right.
And after that, but yeah, I mean, I would use Ohtani as a closer. Look at Yamamoto, Glasnow, Sheehan, Snell. That's the best when you consider Wheeler's out. That's the best 1, 2, 3, 4 going into the postseason. And part of me wants to go up to Dave Roberts and say, "Hey, pull an Ozzie Guillen and just have him throw 9." You know, I'd be better off having Yamamoto throw 9 than having any one of the Delta House who's in the freaking bullpen right now coming out and blowing the game. I mean,
so like a starter on like 50%, like energy.
I would rather
have
Kershaw coming out of the bullpen. Absolutely. Yeah. I would use Kershaw out of the bullpen. I would use freaking if Sheehan's not going to get a start, get him out of the bullpen. I just don't trust any, especially Trinan. I mean, Trinan has just been automatic. Do you know what Trinan's ERA is right now?
10.
It's 5.47.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
That's
a good slugging. Your ERA should not be a good slugging percentage.
It's not 5.6. Not 5.67, Sully.
I still don't know what that means, to be honest with you.
I have no idea.
I did that to Jeff the other day, and he logged off on me. He's I am not
logged off.
He's like, I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta admit,
I'm making 9.5 weeks references. I'm not into today's references.
9.5 weeks. Yeah, we're talking about Glenn Braggs just a minute ago.
That is. I agree with you, Booney, because it's tough. I mean, obviously, you have Yamamoto, you have Glasnow, you have Snell. Sheehan's been pitching great for them recently, and obviously, Ohtani is playing once again. He's once again pitching well, 50 home runs. He's going to have 20 stolen bases. OPS is going to be over 1,000, and Betts is there, Freeman is there. Obviously, they're going to score a lot and everything. But the bullpen will be their undoing. Absolutely be their undoing. I'm not saying they can't win, because you've seen teams that have, like last year, their rotation was a mess. They had to throw a bullpen game every 4 games, and they still managed to win it. By the way, I also think that the Yankees have one more dumb series in them. I think they have one more, where they're playing yakety sacks in defense, or Boone makes one more, dumb move. I that's not wishful thinking on my part, but I think they have one. There's one more. They're not going to be playing the White Sox. They're not going to be playing. The who else have they been playing down the stretch? The Nationals or the Twins. They're not going to be playing one of those teams. They're going to be playing a pretty good team along the way.
Right.
And so
a team that can beat them if they
there'll be a moment where he does something dumb, or Volpe kicks a ball, or something stupid happens. And I think they have one more of that in them. It's been a while. It's been a while since they've had a dumb series. I guess they had their lunch stolen from them by Detroit, but I mean a dumb, like, wait a minute, did he threw to the wrong base, or like someone
just
curled up and fell asleep at second base and put their head on the bag, something silly like that.
Some of the little league coaches go like, "Oh my god, I just told my kids to not do
one more series like that in them."
It's definitely coming. I can see that happening. I want to take a step back though and look at the playoffs from a 30,000-foot view, because I have a question for you guys that I think will provide some interesting discussion. That's coming up next. If you've been thinking about getting in on the action over on FanDuel, now is the best time. They still have this great introductory offer that's only going to last for a little bit longer. When you place your first $5 bet, if it wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. That's like literally double what it usually is. And of course, there's plenty of Major League Baseball lines to put that on, including who's going to win the AL Central. Because as we know, the Guardians have taken over. And at least according to FanDuel, the Guardians are favored. They are minus 215 to win the AL Central. Right now, the Tigers are at plus 172. How the Tigers have fallen. Man, they've had like an opposite season compared to last year. where they just barely made the playoffs after a huge comeback. Now it's the other way around. But yeah, go check out FanDuel today. Like I said, new users, first $5 win gets you $300 in bonus bets. Download that FanDuel app today. If you can't watch your favorite Locked On MLB podcast on YouTube, you can always listen to us on your favorite app because we are free and available everywhere you get your podcasts. All right, I want to close on this because we're just a couple of days away from the playoffs beginning, wild card round, best of 3, all that great stuff. And this is actually a little bit prompted by something that Justin said the other day to me. And I want to ask everybody here, and Justin, I'm curious as to your long-form thoughts on this as well, because are there too many playoff teams?
Yes, but no. Because if you would have asked me a few weeks ago or the start of the month, I would have said yes, because the Guardians weren't going to be in. And I'd have said, I'm tired of watching teams sit around 500, not make moves at the deadline, not try to push the chips all in and try to win. But now the Guardians are back in it. Yes, there's not so many playoff teams, because you want to know what? This is exactly why Rob Manfred did this. He's keeping. I can't believe I'm saying something good about Rob Manfred. I'm so sorry, Sully. But this is keeping different cities in it. Like, this is the way you balance it out, right? Like, until there is a decision on financials, until you can force certain owners to spend certain money, or you do something with the TV contracts or the salary cap, whatever it is. I don't have the answers. That's why I'm not Rob Manfred, apparently. Until you have that resolution, the best way to combat the financial differences is more playoff teams. You have teams like the Reds, like the Guardians. I want to say the Pirates, but it seems like even extra playoff spots don't help
they're
them.
way out. Yeah, they're way out.
No, not now. I'm just saying ever in general. That's the way you do it. So I got to say, like, you're keeping more cities, more fan bases involved. As much as I hate what it does to the trade deadline and encourages a little more mediocrity, I see more fan bases getting excited in September, and that's what you need. That's what you want, ultimately.
I mean, Arizona dealt Eugenio Suarez, and they're still in it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's because nobody in the NL wants to win. Like, in the NL, it's very hard. It's very tough at the top, but it's easier to get it at the bottom. Whereas the American League, it's easier to get it at the top, but it's very hard to sneak in the last spot.
Well, I agree with you. I think one of the I've learned to stop fighting when they make changes to the playoffs, because I've grumbled about in the past and I've always been proven wrong. I think that it's the answer to the old, it's the same teams every year. So, well, it physically can't be, because we've cast a wide net. The thing that's made for the American League is that there's literally no way to pick a favorite in the American League right now. It's just going to be who's going to have 2 decent weeks. That's really it. The Yankees could run the table, or they could play stupidly, especially if they have to play in the wild card series. Let's say they play Boston, and Boston throws Garrett Crochet, who is unstoppable. And if I were the Yankees, I would not throw Fried in game 1. I would throw Rodon in game 1, because maybe you get lucky and if you face, you beat Crochet, but if it comes down to you're down 1-0, then it's just, okay, the other team just has to split. Or I could just as easily see the Yankees in the World Series. Same thing for every other team. We've seen instances of teams that stumble and bumble and grumble into the playoffs and suddenly go on a rampage. The Cardinals in 2006 went and limped into the playoffs, or even the Yankees in 2000 limped into the playoffs, and both of those teams went on to win the World Series. So, to have all of these fan bases, especially in the American League right now, thinking not only we can punch the ticket, but we can actually make it there's a path to the World Series that isn't banana boats like the Diamondbacks in 2023, which was just bizarre, but this a legit path. Every one team I mentioned has a good streak in them. You could see the Toronto Blue Jays, who have been, spiraling, the proverbial spider in the toilet, but you could see them going hey, we're in, let's relax. boom, though Frankie goes to Hollywood and say, relax, don't do it, and find themselves going to, that's possible. And that makes it exciting for these fan bases. I wouldn't mind seeing shortening the regular season if we have this many. I've been advocating for years ending the regular season on Labor Day and having the playoffs start in September, and have baseball not competing with football in the best month of the season, but get August to be the great pennant race, and and then have the playoffs in September. So we're not going like, oh, the World Series is going on during Thanksgiving dinner, and so I'm you're not gonna find a bigger baseball fan than me, but I'm all for, if it's like a 140 game season or something like that. I'm your pal Sully is listening. But I think it's working, for just to get people's interest, that generations of kids can start to get interested in them. I teach at a high school in Pasadena, and all these kids are walking around with Dodgers jerseys.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the Dodgers are one of the best teams, one of the most popular teams, but I'm seeing young people watching baseball. And if that's happening across the country, remind me why that's bad.
Or hear me out. You shorten the season and you don't start until late April, early May, because people like us here in Cleveland have to sit through 35-degree home openers, and the fans sell out for that, and they don't show up again until this past week, which has literally been true most of the year.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I think the wild card format right now, and first of all, with the absolute chaos that it causes and the excitement down the stretch. Also, I mean, for teams that are out of it, like the A's, I mean, 12 of our last 15 games have been meaningful games, have been against teams that are in the playoff hunt, rather than just meaningless games down the stretch for a team that's out of it. So, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
I am intrigued to see exactly how this plays out, because we were talking a lot about the Dodgers bullpen and stuff. If the Mets are able to make it in, you're going to have the Mets Dodgers, and then whoever takes their starter out first is just like spin the roulette wheel. Let's see what happens, because the Mets bullpen is even worse than the Dodgers. So that's going to be crazy.
What you're saying is the Dodgers need Rougiet.
What I'm saying is the Reds need to make it. And that's where we're going to end today's squad show. Thank you so much for checking out today's Locked On MLB Squad. We will be with you back again as the playoffs get going. We'll be talking about wild card baseball next week. It's crazy. This year has just absolutely flown by. But we'll be back in your feed next week. Thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you check out your favorite team's podcast, whether it's the Guardians, the A's, the Reds, or you just love baseball in general. We got a podcast for you, because we are all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Chaos.